heartbreaking relief and unanswered shadows, the fragile ceasefire in Israel's long war with Hamas. Imagine the wave of emotions crashing over families in a moment of bittersweet reunion. Joy at seeing loved ones alive, yet grief for those lost forever. This is the raw reality unfolding in the Israel-Hamas conflict, where a delicate truce holds, but profound uncertainties loom large. As the world watches, the return of the last surviving hostages from Gaza sparks hope, but whispers of unresolved mysteries keep the tension alive. But here's where it gets controversial. Could this ceasefire really mark the end of a devastating war, or is it just a pause in a cycle of violence that many fear will repeat? Late Monday, the fragile ceasefire in the 2-year-long Israel-Hamas war remained intact, even as intricate challenges continued to unfold. Just the day before, widespread celebrations erupted across Israel when the final 20 living hostages were brought back home, exchanged for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees held in Israeli custody. This milestone, brokered through intense negotiations led by U.S. President Donald Trump, symbolized a glimmer of progress in a conflict that has shattered lives on both sides since the horrific October 7, 2023, Hamas-led attack on Israel. Yet pressing questions persist, casting a shadow over the optimism. For instance, what happens next with the 24 hostages believed to have perished in Gaza? When will Hamas fulfill its part of the agreement by returning their remains to Israel? And how are the health conditions of both the liberated Israeli hostages and the freed Palestinians? These are the immediate puzzles that families and officials are grappling with, highlighting the human cost of this protracted struggle. So far, only 4 of these deceased hostages have been handed over to Israeli authorities as part of the first phase of the ceasefire accord. On Tuesday, the Israeli military confirmed the identities of 2 of them: Guy Iluz, an Israeli national, and Bipin Joshi, a student from Nepal. Both men were in their 20s when they were abducted, Iluz from the vibrant Nova Music Festival and Joshi from a makeshift bomb shelter during the chaos of that fateful October 7th assault. Details emerging from Israel paint a grim picture. Officials state that Iluz succumbed to untreated wounds sustained while in captivity, underscoring the lack of medical care provided by his captors. Joshi, tragically, was killed during the early months of the war. The National Center of Forensic Medicine will conduct further examinations to determine the exact causes of death, adding a layer of scientific scrutiny to these heartbreaking cases. For beginners wondering about the broader context, this attack not only claimed thousands of lives, but also escalated into a full-scale conflict, with hostage-taking becoming a harrowing tactic that has defined the war's narrative. Meanwhile, the rescued Israeli hostages are receiving essential medical attention as of Tuesday, with some families cautioning that full recovery and reunion at home could take weeks. Similarly, in the West Bank and Gaza, where hundreds of prisoners were set free, several individuals required hospital care upon arrival, illustrating the toll of incarceration on health. And this is the part most people miss. On a separate note, Israeli forces in northern Gaza reported an unsettling incident on Tuesday. They claimed to have fired shots to neutralize a perceived threat from individuals approaching them across what they call the Yellow Line, who reportedly ignored commands to halt. No immediate details on casualties were provided by the military. To clarify for newcomers, the Yellow Line refers to the border demarcation where Israeli troops were positioned in August, before their recent offensive into Gaza City. This part of the ceasefire requires Israel to withdraw to that line, potentially reducing tensions in the north. But as this incident shows, trust and compliance remain fragile. Looking beyond the immediate, bigger questions hang in the balance, shaping the future of Gaza and the region. Will Hamas agree to disarm its militants? Who will step in to govern and rebuild the devastated territory? And perhaps most divisively, What about the long-debated issue of Palestinian statehood, a cornerstone for Palestinians and many nations in the Middle East that could redefine peace prospects? These aren't just abstract debates. They represent the hopes and fears of millions. President Trump, standing alongside international leaders in Egypt on Monday, remarked that the first steps to peace are always the hardest. He celebrated the ceasefire as the conclusion of the Gaza war and the dawn of reconstruction efforts, emphasizing unity in a region scarred by conflict. His words echo the complexity. While the deal offers a path forward, critics argue it might not address root causes, potentially sparking more disagreement. But here's where it gets controversial again. On Tuesday, the United Nations Development Agency unveiled staggering projections. A joint estimate from the UN, European Union, and World Bank suggests that rebuilding Gaza will demand around $70 billion. Jacko Killers, the UNDP's special representative for Palestinian programs, specified that $20 billion is urgently needed over the next 3 years, with the remainder spread out over potentially decades. Imagine the scale. This isn't just about bricks and mortar. It's about restoring infrastructure, economy, and lives in a place where over 2 years of war have left widespread destruction. In Egypt, Trump urged regional leaders to put old feuds aside as global figures convened to tackle the hurdles of lasting peace. Notably, no representatives from Israel or Hamas attended the summit, which some see as a missed opportunity for direct dialogue, while others view it as a necessary step to involve neutral parties. This approach raises eyebrows. Is excluding the primary actors a recipe for genuine resolution, or does it risk sidelining key voices? As we wrap this up, it's clear that this ceasefire is a pivotal moment, but one fraught with unknowns. Do you believe Trump's mediation will pave the way for true peace, or is it merely a temporary Band-Aid on deep wounds? Is the call for Palestinian statehood a fair demand, or does it complicate matters further? And what do you think about the billions needed for Gaza's rebuild? Should global powers prioritize this, or are there other pressing priorities? Share your perspectives in the comments below. I'd love to hear agreements, disagreements, or fresh insights. After all, in stories like this, every viewpoint helps us understand the path ahead.